There's the intro. That means we're going live. Hey, what is up? It is me, Barack Lesnar of Barack Lesnar Hoops, and I have my homie Bilal from SportsWZRD, and we're going to be having a conversation with Bilal. What up, Bilal?
Hey, man. How's it going? Yeah.
Bilal. Nice. I like to say people's names correctly. I only mispronounce NBA players' names. That's
perfect.
Yeah, man. Really, we just wanted to come on here, have a conversation, see what we're able to do. Hold on, I might have to do something. Hold on. This might mess up the signal.
He may be on.
You're back. Are you back?
I'm back. I never left.
All right, my internet was acting up. Is it still acting up? Can you see me?
It's good. Yeah, I see you.
All right. So I wanted to have a conversation with you because you are behind the Fantasy Basketball Wizard, which is a tool I've been using. When did you create that tool?
Man, 2017 was the first super basic version of it.
And if I remember correctly, this would have been, I think the first year you released it, I started using. I think maybe you talked about it on Reddit Fantasy Basketball. I downloaded the tool, and then immediately every year after that, I used it until I think one day I reached out to you and I said, hey, let's partner up because I really like this tool. I already use it on my own. I think it would be easy for me to sell it to the people that follow my channel. Tell us a little bit about the tool, how you came to create it, what the functionality of it is, and maybe later on we could even discuss some of the new things that you're going to be bringing for us this season.
Awesome. Yeah, this will be the first time discussing the new stuff. So yeah, we're going to break some news here. But yeah, essentially I created a tool called Fantasy Basketball Wizard. It's a Chrome extension. If you're not familiar with what a Chrome extension is, it's a plugin for your Google Chrome. And what it does is essentially when you're on your Yahoo or ESPN teams, it adds in useful information directly into the page. So for example, if you're looking at your team on Monday in your matchup, it knows what players you have and how many games they have and what their averages are. And it does the math with your team and your opponent's team and shows you what that projected matchup is looking like. So you can kind of predict what category is going to be close and target those categories ahead of time. So if you see that steals is looking like it's going to be close, but you're going to win big in rebounds and field goal percentage, you might want to drop a big or two so you can go get a couple of the smaller guys who will get you those steals and potentially flip that category.
Yeah, so I mean, the way you described it is exactly how I always use the tool. And I love this tool so much that Bilal and I have had a partnership for years, and he's told me that I have free access for life. But last year, when I was gone from creating my content, I felt bad asking him for the free access. So I actually paid for it because I needed the tool to play and paid for the tool. That's how important the tool is for me. And the number of times I sat and I would love going to future matchups and seeing how I stacked up, even though I knew it wasn't 100% accurate, it would still help me so much to anticipate who's coming down the line, what their potential strengths are, what their potential weaknesses are. And I could think ahead of time, hey, how am I going to tackle that matchup when I get to it? Because I could go and be like, oh, it's showing me projected as losing 7-3 right now. And then tinkering, and it almost felt like I was affecting the future every time I made the right move. I would look into the future, be like, oh, it's looking better for us. And more often than not, the projections were so accurate, it would normally end up right around where it was telling me it would end up. If I was ending up short, just, slight steals, now I know, hey, I got to make sure I'm streaming some guys that can get me some steals without hurting the other categories I'm already projected to win. So it's an amazing tool. I recommend it to everyone. There is a link in my description. That should be active soon if it's not yet, because it's going to give you a huge leg up along with watching the content on this channel, using our strategies that we share with you, using these tools, because chances are your opponent is likely using these tools, especially if you're in competitive leagues. It's not a secret at this point.
Yeah.
What is your user base like now from 2017 to now?
Yeah, so in 2017, it was like a little super basic free tool. All it did was show you like the number of games for this week, not even remaining, just like you're looking at your team, this guy's got 4 games. That's how it all started, because I was looking at the calendar to see how many games each person has and, how many games my opponent has, and this would help me figure that out. And then, it started with like just a few hundred users, like 400 or 500. The first Reddit post got us like 800 users. Then it slowly started growing and it started becoming like a lot to maintain. So we turned it into a real product and turned it into a business. And, there's roughly, 5,000 people using it on a daily basis.
That's
so,
incredible.
it's pretty likely that one of your opponents is using it. And if they're using it, you're at a disadvantage because they have some important data that you don't.
And so some other data that was useful to me, I would use waiver wire trends. And then in waiver wire trends for streaming, it would show me how many games those players played that week. So immediately I would know, hey, this guy has 4 games this week. He makes for the target. Oh, this guy only plays 2 games this week. I might want to stay away. That you put the data in the right places to the point where it almost doesn't make sense to me that Yahoo doesn't incorporate these things, which I guess to you is a good thing.
It's a good thing for me. So until they do that, we'll see how it goes. I mean, they have launched their own set of paid tools. I've used them. I don't think they're that great. I think they're made by people who don't really play fantasy like we do. So it's a little bit confusing, and they're super expensive, $35 a month or $35 a season. So
yeah. I think I'm paying for it too. I find value. I like that they share the diamond player trends and kind of what the diamond players are doing. I think that's very valuable. I'm a diamond player myself, but to know what the top 1 percentile players are doing, the best of the best, to be able to see what moves they think are valid. Or sometimes you'll see a guy being picked up by diamond players, but not by regular players. And, hey, there might be some fire to the smoke that I'm seeing. So what are some new tools? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it does provide some value to you for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think you had a question?
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, I know you talked about some of the new tools that you'll be introducing this season that are really going to elevate our fantasy basketball game. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those tools? Do you have anything you could present for us?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to share my screen. So I'll kind of tell you first what I am thinking and what we're going to release this year.
Do I have to do anything for you to share your screen?
Let me see if it even lets me share screen. Oh, yeah, it'll let me share screen.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start before I start the screen share. Where do we go? Yeah, before I start the screen share, I'll tell you. So, one of the biggest pain points of fantasy basketball is being up at 3 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, or maybe whatever other random times if you're around the world. I've set up a new tool where essentially you can go ahead and schedule an ad. So you basically tell it who you want to drop, who you want to add, and at what time, and you can just sleep and it'll just do it on your behalf. I think it's extremely powerful. Have it in a beta last year, and some people used it, and they were extremely happy about it. So I'm excited to get that out to the world this year.
That right there, my friend, is what I call a game changer, because the number of times that I have set an alarm at 2:59 a.m. so I could wake up and pounce on a waiver wire pickup because I've used up all my streaming spots. You're telling me I can have the same functionality of picking up that player and I don't have to interrupt my already limited sleep?
Exactly. You just keep sleeping, you don't affect your life, and you just let it do it on your behalf.
This tool might literally elongate your life. So you might be able to play fantasy basketball and live longer. Wow, that should be a good proposition right there.
Yeah, live longer. Yeah, live longer by using a SportsWZRD auto ad. That's what we're calling it.
That is incredible. So let's say I wanted to auto ad. Is that a functionality right within Yahoo? Does it work on ESPN too? Where would I be able to use this functionality?
Yeah. So the nature of the tool auto ad. Chrome extensions work while you're looking at your screen. They don't necessarily work when your computer is off. So, I designed a brand new website that essentially you can just use on your phone or on your laptop if you want, but it's mainly designed for you to go on your phone and you would just sync your Yahoo league from there. So you sign into your Yahoo league in that app, in that website, and it can read your team and then it can make ads on your behalf. And so in there, you'll see an option to go ahead and pick the time and the date and which players you want to add or drop.
So these tools, so let's say I want access to the Sports Wizard, which is your website, but I want access to the scheduling tool. I want access to add the auto ad feature. What does that look like? What do I have to do? How much does that cost me? Is it a monthly thing? This must be like what, like $20 a month?
Yeah, great question. $20 a month would be insane. So, we tried to price it to make sure that it's affordable and that it's worth it for you. So it's $4.99 a month or $20 for the whole season. So $20 the move. You can make as many ads as you want. You could set 10 in a night, 20 in a night, especially for guys who play in like 10, 12, 20 leagues. I met somebody who played in 27 leagues. So yeah, $5 a month.
50 leagues a season.
50. Oh my goodness.
I used to have I would get limited by the number. I think you had like 12 accounts you could do in one.
Yep.
I had like 4 accounts and I would have the full number on like 4, and then I'd have like 3 to 4 ESPN leagues.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insanity, but it really made me good at fantasy basketball. I'm not gonna lie. That level of insanity is probably why I'm able to come here and spit all this stuff out the way that I do. But I don't do that anymore. I try to keep it to like 12, which is still a lot.
Still a lot. But I bet this tool will be helpful for you. So, all you got to do is go to SportsWZRD.com. You can see right here. That's how it's spelled, SportsWZRD.com. Go ahead and sign up, make an account there, and then sign up for the subscription. Right now, we have a preseason special going, but I want to plug Barack's code. Use code BLH, and you'll get a discount on your first month.
Code BLH, man. Just sent a message. And if you're watching this stream, man, leave us a comment, leave us a like, leave us a question. We have Bilal here. This is the homie. We go, man, we've been partnering since before the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely before. I remember we branded our, whole daily summary page with Barack Lesnar. It was awesome. It was amazing.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about, man. I'm back now. So, we talked about it before with Robin and Barack Lesnar Hoops. I do want to say we are part of the Believe in Fantasy Network with Robin Marks. Huge fan of the guy. He's been here doing the work consistently. He welcomed me back with open arms, welcomed me to his network, and we're going to partner a lot of different fantasy basketball experts. I'll still have my channel. I'll still do my own thing, but I do want to share the credit with Robin, and definitely check out his content. And you might also see my videos on his channel. Bilal works with him as well. It's a really strong network of independent fantasy basketball. I don't want to say geniuses because that sounds douchey, but people that really love fantasy basketball.
Passionate players.
So besides these tools, you actually play yourself, right?
Yep. So I've been playing fantasy. My main league that I commission has been going since 2008. I remember still creating it on my old Sony Vaio computer when I was a little kid. I'm 33 now. So this is when I was, 14, 15 years old. And I created it, and I've literally been renewing the same league every single season. So you can go back and see all the history for every season.
All right, so.
I play like 4 leagues. Three leagues is kind of my max. I'm just as passionate as you are, but if I do play in more than 4 leagues, 3 leagues, I'm just not going to have fun, And I've seen others kind of leave fantasy because of that. So I limit myself to 3 leagues where I can truly focus on them and be successful and actually have fun with them. And I'm also a diamond level player on Yahoo. I've been to the finals in my league. What did you say?
We're bringing you the beast, man. Top 1 percentile.
Yeah, there you go. I've been in the finals in my league, I believe, in the last 10 years, 4 times, and I've literally lost all of them. It's just, I'm like Jerry West, man. I make it to the finals, and I always lose in the finals.
Sounds like some vicious competition, man. Michael 46 asks, where can I buy this subscription? So that would be, you said
Wizard.
SportsWZRD.com, right?
Correct.
All right. I just gave them the link. Use
like
code BLH and save yourself some money. And Bilal, you're somebody I'm probably going to have hopping on often, especially throughout the season. We can check in on our teams. We can, pick your brains. We can debate. What strategies do you use? What is your preference as far as fantasy basketball? Are you a categories guy? Are you a points guy? Are you a rotisserie guy? What is your bread and butter?
Love talking about that. So mainly I'm into 9-cat fantasy basketball, standard 9 categories. I'm personally into leagues with no waiver because my philosophy is first come, first serve. I believe waivers are kind of a way for random leagues to limit collusion and stuff like that, where, you don't have someone dropping somebody just for somebody else to pick them up. Can't cut lists. I'm not a fan of that in private leagues because, again, that's just kind of like to prevent collusion. But I love the 9-cat. I've always been a snake draft guy, but this year we're finally making the move over to auction draft. I've done it in other leagues a couple times, but auction draft is going to be the move. Like I said, I like playing with no waivers. So the people who care the most and dedicate the most time to it are kind of rewarded in that kind of structure. If you're up at midnight or 3 a.m., like you said, setting an alarm, I mean, you deserve to have that player over a guy who's just putting a waiver claim,
Yeah.
So that's kind of my philosophy.
I hate auction waivers so much. I just quit a league, very competitive league, fun league, but I had to quit because it was auction waivers. So if you get a guy in IL that day, you can't even pick somebody up because you got to win the auction. And then you lose the auction. And now you have to wait until the following day to try again. And then it became frustrating because now I felt limited by the settings versus my own skill set. Because if I could pick somebody up to play, now I have a dead space that night for no real reason other than I'm limited by this auction waiver. So I definitely see your point as far as that. And as far as auction leagues, I'm a huge fan of auction leagues. I think if you know fantasy basketball, it's almost impossible to build teams as strong in a snake draft as you can with an auction league. Because if you want Shea and you want Nikola Jokic, you can have them, but you're going to have $2 left to put together the rest of your team. But if you're good at the waiver wire, if you're good at picking up sleepers, you might draft a few $1 guys that end up being mid-round level talent, or you might end up picking mid-round level talent, and now you have two of the strongest players at the exact same time. So hopefully I can get a few more auction drafts in. For the sake of my subscriber leagues, I normally tend to do snake draft just because people, I think, get a little intimidated by the auction format.
Yeah, it's standard. I mean, auction takes a long time, and it is a bit intimidating, especially if you haven't done it before. So my league members were very against it. I kind of made the executive decision. I said, you guys, I got the league to this point. I got all these settings up, and you guys have loved it. So just trust me on this one.
Yeah.
Once you do it, you're not going to want to go back to Snake next year. I promise you.
No, I remember a few years ago, I did the same thing and it created a huge issue. I got accused of cheating because they were like, oh, you want to change the format. And then the guy, and I'm still cool with him, but he ended up like quitting the league, creating his own league. But I'm really petty. So I joined his league under a fake account. And all season I played under a fake account and I didn't say anything. And I dominated his league and I won his league. And I was like, I thought you said I was a cheater. So I left. It wasn't my league. I didn't have the rules. I wasn't the commissioner. And I still wiped my asses with you and the rest of the league. So you're telling me there was nothing to that accusation, was there?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm petty. I'm sorry. I try to save the pettiness from the channel, but I'm a fuck boy. Oops, now I'm probably going won't hear that on Locked On Fantasy. Actually, I don't know. I don't watch that enough to know if it curses or not.
So let me do a little share screen and see.
Yeah, do it, man. Show us what you got.
I'm gonna show another new feature that I've been working on really hard this summer, and I think it's gonna be. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Hold on. I see you presenting it now. I can add it to the stage so that we can see it right there.
Cool. You see it?
Yep. We can
All right,
all
awesome.
see it. It's on the stream right now.
So this is the homepage, the landing page. Just kind of tells you what the site's about. But I already have an account here. I'm already signed up. I already have my Yahoo League synced, so I'm not going to go through all those settings. They're pretty easy. But what I really want to show is this new player comparison tool. So I think the most asked question in fantasy basketball, and I'm sure you can attest to this if you look through your comments, should I drop X player for Y player? I mean, that's literally the most asked question. Everybody, random people hit me up because they know that I made this tool and they want to get my opinion and say, oh, should I get this guy for this guy? And, you know, it's hard to answer that question without more context, but I made a tool that answers that question for you. And so anytime anybody ever asks me this player for this player, I'm just going to make this comparison for them and I'm going to send them a link to this. So, you know, let's do a realistic scenario. You're doing a streamer. I don't know. You want to stream like Brandon Pajemski or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's do Clark, and then let's do like give me another random.
Do him, Brandon, and there's POD.
POD. Okay, cool. Got it. Perfect. So
yeah, he spelled it with an I. That's not your fault for not knowing that.
Yeah. So essentially, it's gonna go look around the internet, look at what people are saying around X, you know, NBA X, and see kind of like what the conversation is. It'll look for trade rumors, injury reports, kind of how the team is doing.
Is it an AI tool?
It is an AI tool.
Interesting. This is lovely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm going to do more of on this channel is show how to use AI tools to come up with decisions. And I mean, you've really streamlined that process with this.
Yeah, essentially. So like, you know, you can ask like, what's the difference between going to ChatGPT versus something like this? This is specialized for these kinds of comparisons.
Interesting.
So here we are. It did take a minute, but it is doing a lot of different things. So it is going to take some time, you know? And I think Brandon look at, say that again.
Oh, it gives you a confidence score. So that's nice.
Yeah. So I think this thing it's a good comparison because Clark just had surgery, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He has a limited role too.
Yeah. So, I mean, here you go. It literally, this news came out today, I believe. And it's already knows that, hey, this is out for 6 weeks, knee procedure. And it also says, hey, this guy, Pods, recovered from a muscle surgery in June. So, but he's expected to be ready to play. You know, it goes over recent news about each player. It goes over trade rumors. It goes over their schedule. Right now, the schedule's not active. There's no games. So it's not taking that information into account. And then, you know, it shows their stats for the last 15 games. And gives you an overall kind of like, hey, this is what we recommend. And it gives you a little bit of information about why we do that recommendation.
That is a wonderful resource. I could see this being useful too in the middle of the draft when you can't decide between two different players. Just plugging them in and you have a quick little summary to make an educated decision. Man, this is next level. This is my first time seeing it in action. I know you told me about it before, but I'm a big fan of that.
Awesome. So I'll can I leave a link, chat with everyone in the studio? Okay, so I'll put the link to that comparison in our chat if you want to put it on the main chat. That way viewers can click it and see how it looks on their end.
All right, send it. Where's our chat? Here's the private chat. All right, so just sent it to me, so I'm gonna share it with everyone else. All right, guys, you just saw that comparison tool. That's one of the features that you get with the subscription. You do get a discount if you use my code BLH. Man, you just kind of blew my mind with that. I can't even lie. That was next level.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you like it. I'm super excited about it. It's only going to get better as the season goes on because there will be more real-time information, more games, and more just like factors. And I'll be able to go in and tune it to make sure it works better. And, you know, if for those familiar with how AI tools work, you know, you have to provide it some context. I mentioned this is like specialized for player comparisons because I've built in a ton of context about how to play fantasy basketball and how to be successful in fantasy basketball.
Mm.
And so it takes all those things into account when it's making its decision. Additionally,
You got to feed my videos.
You know what? Yeah, exactly.
Like
put some information from your videos in there. But essentially, as the season starts, I'm going to add the ability for it to also know your team and your matchup. So when you're doing a comparison, you can say like, hey, look at my team and my matchup, and it'll take those things into account. So if it looks like steals are close, it'll try to tell you like, hey, you could pick this guy up. He's overall better, but he's not better at steals, which is what you actually need.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So it'll take some context into the matchup, and maybe in a traditional week, it would recommend one guy, but because of the specificity of this specific matchup this week, it might recommend an alternative option that might be a better fit for that exact scenario.
Yep.
That is amazing. I don't know if you're hearing this. If you're hearing this, you should definitely go sign up, because if you play money leagues, that's a very small investment to have this level of insight. Just the ability to be able to add people at 3 a.m, the comparison tool, and then on top of it, the weekly matchup projection. And I love going back to that weekly projection, the fact that you can select if this guy only plays 2 games this week, or if this guy plays 0 games this week, those little changes, and being able to see in real time how that affects the final numbers.
Exactly. And let me add another layer to that. This is another breaking news. Added a new feature where it'll allow you to simulate an ad. Essentially, you just press this button, you select which player you want to theoretically add to your team, and then it'll update the projection to show you, hey, if I add this guy, this is what my projection would look like. So if you're it's Saturday night or Friday night and you're deciding between 4, 5, 6 guys, you could just run all them through the simulation and see like, how does my projection look based on each of these ads.
That's nice. And then you would also be able to calculate, I'd remove this guy and replace him with this guy, and this is what the final projection is.
Yep, exactly like that.
Well, I want to show, I've been talking about this guide. I just revamped it today. Some people bought the guide. So if you bought the guide already, you should get an email with this revamped guide. I added some more information, made it look nicer. It's for purchase right now, $9.99. Help support the work I'm doing here at Barack Lesnar Hoops. I will be doing a lot of my videos using the information on the guide. So the thing I really like is we have the playoff schedule. So weeks 19 through 21 on Yahoo, weeks 20 through 22 on Yahoo, and weeks 21 through 23. And the idea is these are the players I'm targeting in drafts. It's not going to be every single player in the draft. I kind of put the players I'm not targeting. I omitted them from this ranking, but I try to put as many of the players as possible that I would see myself drafting. So for Nikola Jokic, for example, if you're drafting him, you should know that weeks 21 to 23 across the 3 weeks, he's only playing a total of 9 games. So the idea with this guide is when you're drafting, you should be able to be like, hey, my draft is week 21 to 23. And immediately Kevin Durant has 12 games that week. Alperen Şengün has 12 games during that format. Amen Thompson has 12 games. Franz Wagner has 12 games. Jaren Jackson Jr. has 12 games. So you can figure out what the ownership is for these guys. It's all on the guide. You can figure out where their at draft position is. At draft position information, and this with data updates constantly, so it might not be 100% accurate, but it should be fairly close to where you're able to grab these guys. So you can go through this guide, and I'm sure I'll do this in my own videos, but identify, if I drafting here, by the end of my draft, I can have 10 different guys that play 12 games during the fantasy basketball playoffs, and there's still guys that can get me to the fantasy basketball playoffs. And that sort of futuristic thinking in March, thinking in April today is really, in my experience, what wins you your leagues. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's why, you're mentioning Jaren Jackson Jr. He's going to be out the first 4 or 6 weeks. So he's going to be dropping in drafts. You'll be able to get him cheaper in auction drafts because of that. But if you have some space, like if you have multiple IL slots or even IL plus slots, and he comes up with a 12-game in the last 3 weeks, and that matches your leagues. I mean, that a lot of people might not know that ahead of time. So little information, little details like that is really what sets top level players apart from not top level players.
Exactly. So let's go and see maybe some players that stick out because they have a strong fantasy basketball schedule. So right here, I mean, John Collins he's on the Clippers now. The Clippers have an amazing fantasy basketball playoff schedule. So they're averaging out at 12 games across the 3 different schedules. So they have 12 games if you're playing weeks 19, 20, and 21, 12 games if you're playing weeks 20, 21, and 22. And even on their bad one, it's still 11 games. So they have a very strong schedule. And I see John Collins being somebody that's going to get a lot of playing time on that team. He can score, he can rebound, he can shoot. And outside of Brook Lopez and Ivica Zubac, I think their power forward situation is pretty wide open. So he's somebody that sticks out to me. Now, the Thunder, if you're playing weeks 19, 20, 21, they have an awful playoff schedule. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, so if you're picking Shea in the beginning, that's definitely something to consider with that. Even they're really weak in any of the formats. They top off at 10 games. So not a great year to have Thunder players, especially with them being defending champions. If they're that dominant this season, they might be resting games on top of that.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, hasn't been of late, but Shea has a history of resting. I don't necessarily think it's his decision, but the Thunder have rested Shea in the midst of a playoff race. I believe it was like they had a back-to-back. They were right on the cusp of the play-in or playoffs or something like that, and they rested Shea on a back-to-back. Like,
so
so happened.
That's the league today, man. I remember when it used to be Coach Popovich and we would make fun of him, but now that everyone's doing that.
It started that, yeah.
So some other players that really stick out, I think we're going to see a lot of Orlando Magic players on a lot of championship teams. I mean, you have now Desmond Bane is on the Orlando Magic. So he's somebody, you see him right here, 12 games, weeks 21, 22, and 23, and 11 games if you're playing weeks 19, 20, and 21. So Jalen Suggs is a sleeper that you can pick up pretty late in drafts, a guy that can get you a bunch of steals. And I think he's a very nice fit next to Desmond Bane. So I like his chances to produce. So you got Franz Wagner, you grab Jalen Suggs later on. You have Brooklyn also has a pretty strong playoff schedule, 11, 12, and 11. So you could grab some Brooklyn Nets players. I don't know. I think a lot of these guys, I think this guide, and correct me if you disagree with this, but just looking at this, you could feed this into ChatGPT and tell it, hey, who has the strongest playoff schedules for weeks 21, 22, 23? And you could just make a comprehensive list of players to have on your draft list just based off that.
No doubt about it. Yeah, definitely. That's one good way to use it.
Yeah, look at Santi Aldama, Ty Jerome, Tyus Jones. So, yeah, Tyus Jones, I'm interested to see how he does on the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, it was a bit of a down year for him last year. I mean, not necessarily his fault, but I mean, he was a little bit, he's highly inconsistent. But, hopefully with some new opportunity in Orlando, it could be better, but I could kind of also see more of the same because they do have some depth, ball handling depth. So
he kind of has the same issue Cole Anthony had. He's just very undersized. I think he's a better fantasy basketball player than he is a real life player because he has an amazing assist to turnover ratio, which I'm really biased. I love players that get you a bunch of assists without turning the ball over. They're their own forms of unicorns. All right, let's go through just the last few, see if anything really sticks out. How do you feel about Grayson Allen this season with all the trades in Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, similar situation to Tyus Jones, right? I mean, he's good, just didn't get much opportunity. I can also see more of the same for him this season. I mean, KD is a little bit easier to play with than someone like Jalen Green. He's a little bit more ball dominant. Same with Devin Booker. So it's hard to see him doing better than he did last year.
Yeah, I mean, I like the opportunity for him there. He can get you threes, he can get you steals. I mean, they got rid of Bradley Beal, they got rid of Tyus. They don't have Kevin Durant anymore. They did bring back Jalen Green. I don't think Jalen Green or Devin Booker are incredible defensive players, so I think that can get him some playing time. So at an average draft right now, ADP of 151 and only 25% owned, I could see him being a sneaky sleeper pickup, especially with the playoff schedules weeks 19, 20, and 21 having 12 games. And that's that time of the year where a role player like him, whether the team is doing well or the team is doing poorly, they tend to get minutes during that stretch of the season if they're healthy. So he sticks out to me. Keon Ellis is another guy that gets a ton of steals that you can grab late. I like his upside. Gary Trent Jr. on the Bucks in the past was a great threes and steals guy. I could see him doing some things. Now, the player that really sticks out to me from these last few that I have on the list is Bilal Coulibaly, because, again, the Wizards have a very strong schedule. 12 games, weeks 19, 20, 21, and 12 games, weeks 21, 22, 23. Bilal is, I mean, I'm sure you love his name.
I drafted him on his rookie year because of that.
I'm sure you're a big fan of that. But he can get steals. He's growing offensively, and that's a great playoff schedule, and you could grab him pretty late, and the ownership is up there. He's 79% owned, so the secret is out on his potential.
He's hurt right now, right?
Is he?
Yeah, I believe he got hurt. He'll be out for some time, so that'll make him even cheaper.
Let's look it up. The law said, who is recovering from thumb on September, will miss training camp, expected to be ready to play in games by the first or second week of the regular season. So,
there you go.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, he did have surgery, but he should be back around the second or third week of the season. Either way, he was going pretty late in drafts. You might be able to grab him, throw him in your IL, forget about him. But I could see Alex Sarr as another guy, real young player that can get you a lot of blocks, has some shooting potential. I like his upside to help teams this season too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of upside, I think he's one of the few players. I forgot the stat, so I don't want to mess something up. It was like a number of threes and number of blocks, something like that. The combination of threes and blocks was like rare with him.
Okay. I'm gonna look a little more into that. But yeah, man, if anybody is watching this and is interested in this guide, we have an undervalued players based on their ADP, so elite value, deep value. These are deep league targets, and then players with strong value. The whole point of this should be a one-stop shop where you can read through this thing and essentially save yourself a couple of mock drafts, save yourself the refresh. Kind of, we take this break. It's like school, right? When you take a summer break off from school and then you come back the first few weeks and you're a little dumb because you need to remember how to do school again. This is kind of like that packet they give you the first week of school to catch you up so that then you can go into your fantasy season, hit the ground running like you never missed a beat. And I really think this guide is going to help a lot with that. And even talk about some of my strategies that I like to implement. So the unicorn advantage, which I talk about all the time. I target unicorn players who defy positional expectations. So Nikola Jokic getting you assists from the center position. Brook Lopez gets you blocks and threes. Also on that Clippers team with a very strong playoff schedule. Jaren Jackson Jr., we talked about him. And then I talked about this with Robin, but unlike a lot of other fantasy basketball content creators, I feel like I preach protecting your turnovers, while a lot of other people preach just punt turnovers, load up on all the heavy turnover guys. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, so I mean, great point. I do also look at players' assist to turnover ratio. People don't do that. I think if you are good at turnovers, it is kind of a secret weapon, because even if your team doesn't have a lot of games in a given week, if your turnovers are already good and your field goals are already good, you're still likely to get 3 categories, and maybe a 4th category. So even with a bunch of games, you might only lose 5-4. So, and then if you do have a lot of players and your turnovers are good, you still might have less turnovers than your opponent. And now you're winning assists and turnovers and field goal percentage, and now you're doing 7-2s. So if you really want to get those big wins, the 7-2s and sometimes the 8-1s, like turnovers is extremely crucial. Barack's going in and out. We might have to end this live stream. It's just me now. Let's see. All right, well, I'm going to hop off too. I think Barack's out, but thanks for watching and, looking forward to coming back. See y'all later.
Guys, my apologies. I was having issues with the internet and it kicked me off. So I apologize for that. But I will be wrapping up this stream. You should definitely watch this back if you did not get a chance to watch it from the beginning. We had a great conversation with Bilal from the Fantasy Basketball Sports Wizard. Some amazing tools. We went a little bit into the guide. So watch this back. Leave a comment, leave a like, smash that like button for me. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you're enjoying the content so far. We have a lot more coming your way this season. Thanks again for watching. Take care.